There are so many mysterious things in the world that lack any sort of explanation. Some facts we'll mention here could make you rethink our very own existence, and once again prove that the world around us is a multifaceted and extraordinary one. Although there are many amazing things teachers didn't talk to us about in school, it's never too late to learn them here and now. Sunflowers can be used for cleansing the soil of radiation. Sunflowers actually absorb radioactive isotopes as they grow, and literally suck radiation out of the ground. However, the flowers and stems of sunflowers become radioactive as a result. In 1994, a project called the Sunflower Project was launched in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. A group of scientists and specialists from the American company Phytotech planted sunflower seeds on 807 square feet of land, located just a kilometer from the closed nuclear power plant. Measurements of the first batch of plants showed that caesium accumulated in their roots, and strontium is collected in the sprouts. The batch had to be recognized as radioactive waste and treated accordingly. 2 years later, the experiment was repeated, but on a larger scale. The authors of the method concluded that sunflowers can significantly reduce the concentration of radioactive isotopes of caesium and strontium in a few weeks. However, care must be taken to ensure that the decontaminated area is not recontaminated. There are animals that are considered biologically immortal, even though they actually do die, but only due to injuries or diseases, but not because of old age. For example, there's a tiny species of jellyfish known as Turritopsis dumi, or the immortal jellyfish. According to research, it found a way to cheat death by actually changing the aging process. If a jellyfish is injured or becomes ill, it returns to its polyp stage within 3 days. Thus, its cells return to a younger state. After a while, the jellyfish will become an adult, and this process will repeat as many times as necessary. Speaking of immortal organisms, the polyextremophilic bacterium, Deinococcus radiodurans, is resistant to radiation. These microscopic creatures may even die, but then come back to life again thanks to their incredible DNA repair response. Research has shown that they can survive extremely low temperatures, dehydration, and acid. Deinococcus radiodurans have been listed as the world's hardiest bacteria. The Guinness Book of World Records even states that they can withstand 1.5 million rads of gamma radiation, which is about 3,000 times more than it takes to kill a person. Using very high amounts of pressure, diamonds can be made from peanut butter. Scientists from the Bavarian Research Institute of Geophysics and Geochemistry tried to simulate the conditions of Earth's lower mantle in their laboratory. At a depth of 1,800 miles underground, the pressure is 1.3 million times higher than that of atmospheric pressure. During the experiment, some innovative ways of producing diamonds were discovered. According to a hypothesis, diamonds are formed from carbon under very high pressure. Carbon is found in almost all foods. And since researchers only had peanut butter at hand, they tried using that. Unfortunately, the hydrogen that is bound to carbon in peanut butter significantly slows down the process. It takes several weeks to produce even a small diamond of 0.08 inches. However, the production of artificial diamonds can be a very promising and lucrative business. The universe is a crazy place. We have exploding stars and immortal jellyfish. There is one other interesting fact about the universe. When a massive star explodes, its core turns into a so-called neutron star. This stellar body consists mainly of a neutron core covered with a relatively thin layer of matter in the form of a heavy atomic nuclei and electrons. The cores of stars that die during a supernova flare are compressed by gravity. This is how super-dense neutron stars are formed. Astronomers have found that the mass of neutron stars can be comparable to the mass of the Sun, although their radius is no more than 6 to 12 miles. Neutron stars are so dense that only a teaspoon of their matter will weigh more than Mount Everest, which is a staggering 6 billion tons. The explosion can spin a neutron star to mind-boggling speeds of 600 or more revolutions per second. The watermelons we have today are not the same watermelons of the past. Today, a delicious watermelon has bright red innards and is practically seedless. However, 500 years ago, no one knew about this berry. If you look closely at a still life of the Italian artist Giovanni Stanchi, in the lower right corner you can see what a typical watermelon was in the 17th century. A professor named John Hewis from the University of Wisconsin's Department of Horticulture uses the painting to show his students how selection has changed watermelons over the past 350 years. Watermelons came to Europe from Africa and presumably took root in local gardens at the beginning of the 17th century. Professor Hewis believes that watermelons of the past were as sweet as today's. It's the appearance of the fruit that's changed during the selection process. People manipulated the watermelon to increase the amount of lycopene, a substance that gives the watermelon its signature red color. Changes have occurred in the shape of the fruit as well. There are even square watermelons now. The most fascinating thing is that this is not the end of its evolution. Even today, watermelons continue to develop and change. Just like humans, cats have lefties and righties. Scientists from the Queen's University in Belfast observed 44 male and female cats and noticed that for games, or to pick up a piece of fish or meat, the animals use the same paw, either right or left. As experts note, cats have an equal chance to be either left or right-handed, unlike humans who are predominantly right-handed, with a small chance of 1 out of 10 being left-handed. At the same time, female cats were more often right-handed, while among males there were more lefties. Interestingly enough, a similar difference, depending on gender, is observed in people. Men have a slightly higher chance of being left-handed than women, but the difference is still not as big as in cats. Scientists have also noted that right-handed female cats generally have a more pleasant character. On average, they are less aggressive and timid, as well as offer less resistance. Experts hope that this data will allow us to better understand what biological mechanisms cause the animals to experience stress. Interestingly enough, it's harder to climb the Eiffel Tower on foot in the summer than in the winter. Crazily, this is due to the tower's height changing at about 0.4 feet depending on air temperature. A 984-foot iron rod extends an average of 0.01 feet when the ambient temperature increases by 1 degree. Here's exactly what happens with the Eiffel Tower, which is approximately 1,000 feet high. In hot, sunny weather, the iron material of the tower can heat up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and in winter in Paris, it cools down to about 32 degrees. Big frosts are a rarity there. Since the Eiffel Tower is built primarily of steel, engineers had to take into account this temperature shift, which caused the tower to change in size. In physics, this phenomenon has a simple name: thermal expansion of solids. Liquids can also expand. A well-known example would be a water bottle that freezes and bursts in the cold. In the middle of Antarctica, covered with a solid snow and ice shell, lies a dark and arid location. These are the McMurdo Dry Valleys. They are the driest places on our planet. There has been no snow or rain there for millions of years. The dry valleys of Victoria, Wright, and Taylor cover an area of 50,000 square feet, 0.03 of the continent's area. The temperature there often falls to minus 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and for 4 months out of the year the sun never comes up, leaving the valley in perpetual night. This unearthly corner is dry thanks to the Transantarctic Mountains, which cover the valleys from the penetrating slips of continental ice from the south. Dry Antarctic winds sweep snow drifts from the mountains. A heated downward airflow absorbs the cold, causing the evaporation of moisture. That is why there has been no snow or rain in the dry valleys for so long. It may even seem that there is no life in the dry valleys, however, that is not the case. There are reservoirs in the valleys that are covered with ice and they grow algae, which in turn develops bacteria. In addition, in the water areas of the valley, amazing rock-dwelling bacteria were found, as well as anaerobic bacteria whose metabolism is based on the processing of sulfur and iron. Interestingly enough, the natural conditions of Mars are close to the dry valleys. That is why NASA conducted a test of the Viking spacecraft there. Thanks to the valley's arid habitat, the spacecraft could experience conditions similar to the Red Planet without actually being there. The stomach of a person can actually reflect anxiety. In fact, when a person's face turns red from embarrassment, shame, active physical work, or any other actions, the stomach lining also turns red. Moreover, it acquires its normal appearance at the same time as the face. That is, the redness disappears from the face at the same time as the stomach lining becoming normal, pale pink colored. This reaction of the stomach is caused by a sympathetic nervous system, which increases blood supply to a number of organs and systems, including the stomach. After all, when the face turns red, a large amount of adrenaline is released into the body, which activates the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system, in turn, increases blood supply to the muscles, skin, stomach, heart, and some other organs that should help the body survive the stress provoked by adrenaline. Increased blood flow in the stomach gives it its mucous membrane a red color. And since the redness of the face and stomach lining provokes adrenaline and supports the sympathetic nervous system, it is obvious to see that these two organs always blush simultaneously. In the music world, the slowest tempo is called larghissimo, and it only has 10 or 20 beats per minute. However, this tempo is incredibly fast compared to the longest and slowest piece of music ever performed. A church in Halberstadt in Germany has an organ that has been playing the same chord since October 2013, and it doesn't have to switch to the next chord until September 2020. This is the slowest part of the slowest piece of music in the world, and will continue to be performed without change. However, even in the busiest part of the 12-month period, there are only 3 chord changes. All this is part of John Cage's As Slow as Possible, which began in 2001, and is set to last 639 years, about as long as this specially constructed organ has been in working order. Not all Halberstadt residents enjoy this performance, and the instrument had to be hidden behind a plexiglass screen after locals complained about the endless humming noise. Every minute something incredible, inexplicable, or strange happens in the world. And once you find out about it, you will not stop thinking about it even for several days, or maybe even longer. We hope you enjoyed our selection of facts. Give this video a like and subscribe so that you don't miss any new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.